Alright, welcome to this special edition of the Parkour UK
and Death Gap Chat
podcast. Alright, and we're here today to both grill Adam Dore.
Hey.
No, I got these two boys involved, obviously up north filming some podcasts, and kindly these guys were happy to share the Death Gap Chat space. So we're doing a little collab situation. And, yeah, we're going to get some information out of these two guys, who are massive repositories of knowledge in not just the UK, but the international parkour community. You know, I consider myself a bit of a parkour nerd, but these guys really know their stuff, which is great. So we're going to get into all things events, coaching, and that area. But we're going to start how we usually start, which is how you guys got into our wonderful sport.
Yeah, Adam, how did you get into it?
How's that?
Yeah.
So, I started in 2006, in my 20th year doing parkour now. The first, I heard of it was a friend of mine told me about something he'd seen on TV.
So have you hit that 20-year mark?
Yeah, it's in technically a couple of months, I think.
Okay.
Sometime around April, May I started.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know the exact date.
Sweet.
But yeah, a friend of mine, he told me about free running, but he said, I've seen this thing on TV, which I now know is probably Jump London or Jump Britain. Yeah. But he described it really badly. His exact words were, these people can run up walls like in the Matrix. So didn't really give me much to work with. Start off that. But then probably a couple months later, someone at school was like, oh, have you heard of free running? And I was like, yes, I have, but I have no idea what it is. And then they showed me some videos. This was pre-YouTube, so this was Google video. And I was just instantly hooked. Also,
free running, that word, you guys being repositories of knowledge that you are, would know this. I have it on good authority that was invented by a TV producer, the word free running, because of these films in the Sebastian Foucan era.
Yeah, that's my understanding that it was invented because they thought a UK audience wouldn't.
Yeah, so that's they took the word parkour.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah. Sorry, continue. Yeah.
But yeah, he just showed me some videos, and the first video I ever saw was the opening chase scene from District 13.
Yeah,
which is sick
to this day.
But when you're watching it without the context of this is David Bell, this is the founder, it's very obviously done for a film or TV show.
Yeah.
So it was sick, but it didn't. That wasn't the one that inspired me the most. The one that inspired me was a mashup edit of a bunch of the old 3-run videos. Evolution, Brother's Journey. And yeah, that was the one that really was I want to do that. Because this was clearly self-taught people, homemade filming, homemade editing, a proper street rap.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
So that's the one that made me be yeah, I'm going to do that.
Sick. And then, cracked on ever since, basically.
Yeah.
Were there people training near you?
There was a scene in, I lived in Lincoln at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I sort of grew up. So there was a scene in Lincoln that had been training for about a year.
Okay, so just off the back of those films.
Yeah.
Imagine if they never came out, Jump Rock and Jump Britain. It would have just been so different.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'd still get big, but it would have taken so much longer.
For sure. I think because of those, and then obviously your Daniel Abakas and so on, that's the reason why the UK has been leading parkour for this long, sort of in skill level, notoriety, major spots, significant video projects. And sort of still is. Maybe people are catching up, but yeah, man, sick. How about you? How did you get into parkour?
Yeah, I was a little bit later. So I came in about 2007, 2008. And for me, from my memory, the first thing was Casino Royale, so the James Bond film with Sebastian Foucan.
Still fantastic.
It's still so good, and it's actually really satisfying that a lot of proper James Bond fans, even now, they see it as one of the best, actually the best. And
So it is.
I mean, in the scheme of
I think it's most people's favorite Bond film.
Yeah, which is
that's
great.
my understanding.
So many.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think that afforded us a 2-year period where parkour was cool, because 2 years after that, The Office dropped that scene. Yeah. And then we were finished.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I think I went to see it at the cinema, which I was looking at when it came out.
Awesome.
And I remember, obviously, there's the chase scene at the beginning, and just thinking that
is there parkour later in the film? Because that's the only bit I think of.
Ooh, I should know this. I've seen it enough times. I know there's a few other stunts. They did the famous like car roll.
Yeah.
There's some chase stuff. I don't think it's
Well, there's no more Seb. So that's like
no more-
Sebastian Foucault,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
one of the
like-
founders. So that's, yeah, so maybe there's some stunt parkour, but it's not the same, is it?
Yeah, not something you'd call parkour.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is really cool that people actually thoroughly enjoy that film. It is a really good film. And yeah, I remember seeing the film, and actually I think I was with my dad at the time, and just being really like pulled in by the way Sebastian was moving. It was just so cool. I'd never actually seen someone move like that, especially like with the slides and like
Yeah.
the fast-paced action of the whole thing. And I think it was actually my dad that said like, oh yeah, he's the like free running guy or something. And that was the first time I'd actually heard of that word, I think. It then took me some time to figure out that parkour was a thing as well. And I didn't know how to spell it. So I remember like trying to Google it and not like spelling it with a C.
Yeah.
Lots of different variations and not knowing how to access this thing.
Yeah.
It's similar to what you were saying before about like the Matrix and Jump London, Jump Britain. I think it was a real cultural melting point, you know, of all of these influences, the Matrix,
Yeah.
a lot of these films.
Well, Matrix and video games and stuff, all these things made parkour cool and made it something that people wanted to do, you know? Like, predominantly kids, right? But, yeah, those things, it's not to be underestimated the impact they've had. And the only sad thing is, to this day, it's definitely by far still the biggest representation of parkour in film. So it'd be great to have another one, right? Other than Casino Royale. But yeah, do you have people training near you, or?
No. So I grew up, I actually used to make videos called rural parkour.
Oh,
because I
sick.
grew up like in a village.
Wow. Okay.
And thankfully, I don't know how this kind of how fate goes, I guess, but like a friend at school who I sat next to in IT, as it was called back then. Is it called IT?
Yeah, I think
Maybe?
it is still. Yeah.
We got along quite well, and it turned out that he knew what parkour was, and he actually did parkour. Like he said, on a Friday night after school, he'd go like into his little town called Kirby Moorside, and they'd like jump around the streets, as he called it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that actually formed the basis of our friendship. And like, even the other day, I saw him.
Sick.
He's still like a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He doesn't train anymore, but like,
He probably thinks it's pretty cool that you still do it.
he does. Yeah. He finds it kind of amazing that like, oh, you're still doing it.
You still on this, like, this thing we did as kids.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's sick.
And so we were kind of like 14, 15 at the time. And I think an important one, which I don't hear many people talk about, was a website called Parkour.tv.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
PK.tv or Parkour.tv. Nerds, help us out here.
So this is not PKFR-TV, the Russian run YouTube channel. This is separate
No,
to
this
that?
is actually separate.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
before or like very early YouTube, I didn't know what YouTube was. I found parkour through this website called PKTV or Parkour TV. And they actually, I don't know who ran it, but they showed the best stuff. Like I remember watching Phil Doyle's videos from there. I remember watching Free Run and the Free Run videos, Chase Armitage and other people. And they actually like rated each video. It was almost like a little IMDb type thing. I don't know how.
You know what's so crazy about that? Is that this Dutch kid launched that like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
It's called Jumpflix.
Jumpflix.
And,
Yeah.
and I went on the website and like my film was already on there, which I was very chuffed about.
cool.
And people can rate them. It's like Rotten Tomatoes. So, and it's literally happened a couple of days ago at the time of recording this. So that's just sick that it's just come back 20 years later. Yeah. Wow.
Such a sick concept.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
No, shout out to Jumpflix because like that's suddenly come out of nowhere.
Yeah, this Dutch guy, he's like coding. It might be a school project or something. Max something. Great name. I don't know his last name. But yeah, he's just smashing it. And it looks really nice, the website. It
looks great.
And it's just links to the YouTube or whatever video. So he's not like ripping and stealing stuff.
Yes.
He's just promoting it. It's sick.
And even like the other day, I was in Belgium with Adam. We went to the HAL 5 event we had going on, the Hawaii Jam. Shout out to Nico and the whole gang in Belgium. And we like, as a lot of parkour people do, like we finished the day of training and everything and just sat down watching videos. It's like a few days later, you find out about Jumpflix. We could have gone through, it's all the...
It's a great way. The website looks beautiful. It's a great way of just browsing, to be honest. Yeah.
Because I feel like there's people, even like yourself, Adam, who've got playlists on YouTube of the best of the best.
Yeah, I have
saved.
Yeah, I have one. Yeah.
Most people have that, you know, like I gotta save this video. But like having like the big productions, especially.
Yeah.
In what
And then
way-
if you ordered them according to like user ratings or something, then you kind of have that, right? Yeah. No, I mean, it's awesome. I hope hope he cracks on with it.
It's
a sick little project.
a thing that we haven't really, I don't know, just
Yeah.
why has it not happened before? It's
Yeah,
almost like
no one's
more-
made it. And he's
Yeah.
he's made it well. It looks good.
It looks good.
Right? So hopefully it continues. But people often, sad but true, start these little parkour initiatives and then they, disappear because life happens, right? So, maybe he let a few more people in as well, so it had more longevity to it. But it's a sick project. I hope it cracks on for a while.
I hope that for me, the art of parkour is really important. And I think that I hope that things like Jumpflix inspire people to create, these bigger productions. That it's not just Instagram posts and that they can then, maybe I can get it onto Jumpflix.
Yeah, exactly. Have that motivation.
In some like skanky bedroom somewhere like around the world, like a load of parkour people like watching it, and they're going for having like a parkour night and watching it. And
100%. You need that motivation when there's a parkour film festival, video projects are like happening a lot and people are doing sick stuff. Other people get motivated, and that's how you keep it alive and stuff like that. 100%. Like projects like this, like let me get on Jumpflix, let me get a good rating. Like I felt great when the next gen film that I made with these people was already on there because I was going to submit it and he put it on. I was like, sick.
That's cool.
It's a sick feeling. Yeah. And so he's already gone and like just added a bunch himself basically.
And I think it should be celebrated. People that have put the
100%.
amount of work into these bigger productions that, let's face it, are usually not getting paid. There's no sort of recognition. Maybe get like 200 views or something like that. But actually, they put so much work into it. It's like we should really celebrate that, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. So in addition to like obviously the stuff the Commons are doing with their like platform for pay-per-view and non-pay-per-view videos, it's another sick project. But yeah, I guess moving on from that, tell me like how training for both of you has changed over the years. So when you started, like, what was the goal? Just jump around, have a bit of fun, socialize. Like, what were you getting out of a session then versus now? Like, how was that kind of transitioned? Because in 20 years of training, like, you go through different stages, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, but I've not really thought about how it's changed before. But yeah, like early days, it was very much just copying what I'd seen.
Yeah. It's like, I want to do that. Let me just hit it. Yeah, sick.
And I didn't, like when I started, I didn't look for resources or tutorials or stuff like that. I just watched these videos and then went out and tried to replicate that. So I didn't know names of things.
That's proper OG. To be able to say that, that's most people who've been training as long as you have. That is how they started. Yeah, sick.
And some people showed me things, but I quickly learned that like the names they'd used were wrong anyway.
I would say a similar thing in the sense of at the beginning it was trying to copy and realizing quite early on that you're inadequate. and that I remember that feeling. We had some scaffolding around my house close to the time when I was starting parkour. And so I was like trying to get across the bars and realizing like, whoa, this is hard. Like even just basic monkey bars and and kind of that inspiring the idea of a practice. Like you have to actually practice. Yeah. And you have to put in work to make what you want to do happen. And it doesn't happen overnight. And I'm sure Adam's saying like a lot of hours plugged into trying to figure out movements and trying to look at the environment in certain ways
and turn into the person that can do those things. You get stronger, you get more mature, all these things. For sure, man. Sick. And then like moving on through the years now, like what would your goals be in a session? What are you after? I guess pre injury for you as well. Then we'll discuss the injury that you've been dealing with. But
it's fascinating how my mindset has changed and how the culture's mindset has changed. I think that from my perspective, it seems like the parkour has shifted its attention away from necessarily like the environment to the movement. Sure. So I think that people are much more movement and skill focused now, perhaps. I think in the past, there was a sense of like more of, because if you watch, even like, for example, I watched the other day, the Parkour Literally videos, which are like classic, like pure parkour videos. And you watch the movements and they're all very simple. Like there's step vaults, there's speed vaults, there's turn vaults, there's drops, there's rolls. Very simple, like the movement base, but the actual the environmental kind of like expression is kind of something that is maybe a bit different now than what it was.
It's a much higher ratio of
Navigate.
Yeah, it was how to navigate. Like, can I get from here all the way, like the classic A to B? Like, can I get from here all the way through there? And how do I do that? And the movements themselves weren't as focused upon. I think it helped towards that goal. Whereas now the goal is the movement. Like, can you do a toe shoot giant or whatever? People are learning the movements maybe first, and that's where I guess gyms are really helpful because you can like when we were starting, we had no bars, we had nothing to help us.
I guess it's I feel like it's forking off in two ways, because I feel like that's very true and that was happening a lot. But now recently with the capstone stuff and a lot of the people that are the most that are garnering the most attention online, like, you know, Dom, Travis, Joe Scandra, those kinds of people, they are doing the simple movements. I mean, side pre is a simple movement nowadays, right? So there's obviously that's progression, but even running jumps, stuff like that, they're doing the simple movements in these incredibly difficult environments. But then there's more of the competition and more of the flip style focus where it is entirely about what tricks you do. And then that's one gripe one might have with some of the FIG comps where it's like, I want to do this exact trick of this exact height and let me find the spot to do it, as opposed to I want to adapt to the spot, which is a big sort of tenet of parkour. So I think it's good now that we're having a bit of the other side, but it's definitely both, right?
Yeah.
I feel like your practice started being like that, like I want these moves, or was it always still about adapting?
I don't know.
A little bit for me, just with like a sort of general flip thing of like,
just tick them off.
Yeah, I want to be able to do a castaway outside.
Yeah,
that
for
kind
sure.
of thing.
Yeah.
But there has been a change of like, for such a long time when I started, it was you go out training and you just go to a spot and you just see what you want to do at the spot.
Yeah.
Quite often now, the like challenge hunting mentality, like clip hunting mentality has become quite popular. Where it's like you go out being like, I'm going to go to this spot, I'm going to try this challenge, and that could be the only thing I do that day.
Yeah.
And that's
that's
a win. That's a win. Yeah. Well, I like that though. It's almost like, you know, the verb we use for parkour is training, right?
Yeah.
But that's doing really, you know,
Yeah.
when you know, you're out, you're training, you're doing your stuff. When you're shooting a project, you're doing, I think, you know, the same way maybe if you're competing and that's your goal in the sport or whatever it is, it's like, I'm using all the skills I have to do the hardest thing I can do and film it or perform it for a competition as opposed to the regular training. So I like the distinction, but you need to be doing both, right?
Yeah, there's a good balance.
You can't be doing just one or the other.
I think maybe a difference as well nowadays is that it's almost like I think previously it would be more relaxed with when you film things and like when content comes out or whatever.
That people just come out with a camera, they film the whole day and just
exactly. Like people made jam videos, I guess.
Yeah.
And just filmed it. Or there'd be someone like Scott Bass, for example, who'd be like filming the whole day and like make ampersand videos
but not to make like a banger, just let's just film it.
To kind of document it. But
yeah.
Interestingly, like some of those videos even like still stand now, like New Year's Eve or whatever. What was it called? New Year's Eve and like some of the or like the Dagger Tween stuff and the events actually are still quite important videos that we've got. Whereas now I feel like
everyone looks like they're having such a good time in those. Yeah. Which I feel like is kind of almost a difference in the more serious like banger videos you get now. Yeah.
I think people are more, it's almost like I want to show everything now. So it's almost like if I can show it like with my mobile phone, then why not? Like I can show all of my training. I can show all of my gym training. I can show all of my prep for project or like, so it's almost like I want to capitalize on every session now to film it. And whether that's right or wrong, good or bad or whatever, that's up for debate. But it is a difference. I think in the past, like there was that kind of slightly less focus on that.
For sure. And it creates an environment maybe on the negative side where like you feel like there's less value if it's not captured in a way. You know, I feel that sometimes. I used to like, I only will film stuff I feel is a good challenge for me, but every day that I get something filmed, even if it's just an Instagram story clip, like I do feel this sense of achievement that I wouldn't have otherwise, even if I just had a nice session, like, you know, experimenting with some stuff. So I think that's kind of natural. As a sport grows, it becomes more competitive and people want to show off and have the opportunities, but there is, it's much more outcome focused, let's say, than it used to be.
Did you see there's a bit of a buzz at the moment about the Olympic ice
Yeah. Liam brought that up as well. The ski jumping. No, okay, different thing. Sorry, you go.
Okay, like over the last few days, there's been quite a big buzz about a figure skater called Alicia Liu. I think she's American. She's just won like double gold.
The one with the hair.
Yeah.
And
And something that people have mentioned is like the joy in her performance.
Yeah.
And I was like, she is competing at the highest level. Like she's an Olympian. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But she manages to find joy within the sport that she's always loved. And I think that is inspiring. I think even like, you think about videos like Cambridge Joy or Return of the Joy and this idea of joy in parkour. I feel like, that has changed a little bit. And I would love more people to reclaim like joy in parkour, because it's what we all enjoy and not be too, as you said, like outcome dependent. Like if I don't get the clip or if I don't get the movement, I'm going to be pissed off for like the next 2 days.
Yeah.
There's a balance between like passion and being determined. Like you see Verky, like he's so determined. He has to have that mentality to be able to do the stuff he does. But at the same time, like I hope people can enjoy what they're doing as well. Like,
100%. I mean, I think maturity in parkour is finding that.
Yeah, it's kind of going back. It's like the bell curve. You start goofing around, enjoying yourself, and you kind of go into this like serious training, like the bell curve, and you come back to enjoying
yourself. And then I feel like 100%, like, because I used to really suffer from that, and now I'm much better at, I still will push myself, but I'm much better at resetting after like not succeeding on something, resetting the mentality, getting back to enjoying yourself. And I think the most advanced athletes will get into that really difficult, I'm going to do this hard thing headspace, but for a really short period of time. They'll be really enjoying themselves. Like, right, time to go. They'll get it accomplished quickly, without the faff, or they won't, whatever. But it'll be like a quick, hard hit focus back to enjoying yourself kind of thing. And, it's definitely part of maturing in the sport. But I wanted to also ask, about your injury, right?
Yeah, sure.
Just to see the kind of story behind that, because I was obviously here for it. Big height drop at the end of your run at Project, and it was just such a
literally on the spot.
Yeah. So I mean, what was that experience like, sort of from then till now? Because I remember the day; it was pretty devastating. Like,
so it's been nearly 2 years now.
Yeah.
And something I've written about in the article, the article for Parkour UK. Something I've talked about quite a lot. So I'm sorry if you've like heard this before and I'm repeating myself, but pretty life-changing event for me actually, and something that has unfortunately had an impact on my life going forward. So I do, for people that don't know, I basically shattered both my heels, taking this drop, which is behind me.
Yeah, jumping off this block we're on if you're watching the video,
And so I shattered both my heels, and I also had an avulsion fracture on my left heel, so like the Achilles tendon like pulled off some of the bone on my left foot. And so there's a lot to say, I guess. Like the first thing is that I unfortunately still have like chronic pain.
Really?
So, some sort of like chronic discomfort
in your heel, or?
My heels are actually quite good. So I had surgery on my right heel, and I have some big old bolts like going through the bottom. And my left, actually I didn't have it on that one. It wasn't as bad. But to me it's as if when I landed, a kind of bomb went off in my foot, and it's affected the rest of my feet. So I have these like strange pains like around my feet, and it's quite hard to explain. That sounds stupid, but like different pains kind of like almost like sparking in different areas. And unfortunately that's every day for me. So I've had to, I was in a wheelchair. I had to live with my parents for 3 months. I couldn't like wash myself, like barely go to the toilet. Like it was pretty significant, and thankfully my parents and other people helped me. And I kind of crawled my way back to, I got into like crutches, and then like Zimmer frame and stuff, and then boots. And
so how long before you were walking without a boot? Like,
I think around, I came back to work here after about 3 months. So I wasn't in boots when I was here, was I?
No,
so
you were doing like
I was
a lot. You were coming in, but you were.
I remember you
were doing shorter days.
For a while.
One crutch, potentially,
So obviously not demonstrating anything, but you were coaching.
Very little.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was allowed to come and still work here and and teach and stuff. So
here being Nova City Centre in Rotherham for anyone that is listening.
Oh yeah, listeners, I've had to kind of understand the feeling that like every day I have, like most injuries, they go away after a period of time, or like, you know, you cut yourself and it kind of go. For this one, it's been a real mental battle, and it's not going away. And I've done a bunch of rehab and loads that I've worked. So one thing I did do is I really got into a gym habit, which was awesome. Like I was at the gym like a few times a week.
And that's the best way preemptively to prevent injuries as well.
Yeah.
Is to like reinforce yourself with like strength training.
It is interesting that I'm now wearing FP insoles.
Yeah.
It'd be funny, like, would the same have happened if I'd been wearing insoles?
Yeah, you know.
That's even an interesting topic in itself, because like for me and Adam back in the day, like insoles were taboo. Like you want to be as light as possible, wear fayus.
Yeah.
But insoles are now really popular.
I recently changed. I bought like 3 pairs of insoles online and tested them, and I recently put in some new quite soft ones into my shoes. Not FP, just some random ones that I found online, but they're good, and you know, I think they help keep me a bit safer. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting to think like, I wonder if you know how to bit. But anyway, that's kind of by the way now, and so I've really had to wrestle with like having a lot of my identity as parkour when that's like stripped away. Something I wrote about in the article is like, who are you? And that's quite scary.
100%.
And for people that have a passion that they base a lot of time in, when that's stripped away, it's like you have to figure a few things out. Like about
definitely changes. Yeah. So
sure.
like I haven't dealt with 2-year injury, but I had a 1-year injury when I was 18, and parkour was totally my life, and it definitely changed me, and you reevaluate things a bit.
For sure.
And sort of you have other things in your life, and yeah.
But I think in a really positive way as well, it's helped me kind of, if parkour is such a big part of my identity, it's actually forced me to focus on widening my life. So not necessarily like doing a lot of other things or having crazy realizations, but just like there's other aspects of me that if I don't have parkour, I can still, you know, enjoy.
Yeah, you can still get a lot out of life.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Yeah,
so
which is
really
healthy.
helped me see that, because, you know, I think one of the reasons that I decided in the moment to take the jump like here is because of that, you know, kind of idea of I want to show what I can do. And unfortunately, I made an error of judgment. Like I was really, really tired going into that jump.
See, that's where I think it happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen other injuries on somewhat basic, not that this is basic, but on like simpler techniques-wise movements. And simply put, I think you didn't have enough oxygen in your muscles to absorb it the way you could have. Yeah. And I think that's why it happened.
Yeah.
That's my very unprofessional theory.
I think
end of the long run at day 3 on the 3-day event.
I competed, I think, in all 3 as well.
The same way that people on like a leg press will like overdo it, and then the leg press will crush them because their muscles will give out, right? Yeah. It's just purely that. If you did it at the start, I've no doubt you would have been fine. Yeah,
and people, it's been quite kind of affirming to see. Even last year, people like Tobias just drop off the edge, you stomp it without falling. It's like, oh wait, so I'm not going crazy. It wasn't me being completely risk taken.
No one like you didn't have the level.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, tired, I think.
Yeah. People literally flipped off. I mean, Dom back in the day did it here, and then
and you had that girl Isa who had a really severe injury as well, probably because her legs were tired at the end of a run, right?
And I guess maybe that year made people think about evaluate like where to do things in your run. So I think for me and Issa, it happened at the end of the last end of our run.
Yeah,
and that's no coincidence.
It's difficult because you want to end your run on a banger.
It
always looks better, and it will get a higher score in the final trick.
But it speaks to the maturity in our sport, because like you could do that, but when have you ever had to experience like hitting your hardest thing when you're already tired?
Yeah,
like no one practices that. So it's just the maturity of competing in the sport. And then if you want to talk to someone at the forefront of that, someone like Ed Scott would have a good understanding of that. Like we all preparing for a run overtrain and over practice and tire ourselves. Like I know it's not the same because you need to practice your techniques, but you look at like athletics, they do like a 10 minute warm up and then they run. Like that's it. You know what I mean? They don't do like they don't run the 100 meters, then run the 100 meters. Like we do it like 15 practices and then, so there is just that level of maturity in the sport.
I think knowing when to stop as well, like when to, like, this is enough tricks. If I do more tricks than this, I'm just going to get tired and increase the risk of injury. So
diminishing return.
I call it.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be that'll always be the pull of competing. And when you for example, I got through to the finals. I'm like excited by that.
Yeah.
It's like, what can I bring to the table with that? And also, you know, I'm 32 now. I was thinking at the time, like, you know, might not get to the finals ever again, you know, like, so there's a few conversations you've got to be careful with that. If you do get into those situations like I did, where you've got to be like, actually, can I evaluate this a little bit with a step back? Because I was so pulled in with the, you know,
the emotion. Yeah. So you just look at it like from almost a data driven perspective, like, have I ever done this in this situation, or like, you know, and then
it's like with, I think Ollie Thorpe, I think he was doing skill last year or the year before, and he hurt himself in.
He hit himself on the speed.
Yeah, and he was
no
just
running precision there.
yeah,
And
that was a real shame. That was a real shame.
and so he was like, you know, a good favourite for the skill as well. He's a really talented guy, and he
big
could do
favourite.
really well. And he was like, no, I can't. I'm not doing it. There's no. I need to actually take a step back, even though I could win or podium. I need to take a step back and look after myself.
And he's been in the game a long time, and he's a very mature athlete, and you know, somewhat of an experienced competitor as well. So you do get that, yeah. And it's not like at all you individually; it's where we are as a sport. Whereas a lot of people would have done the same thing in your shoes, I think. Yeah. What about you, Adam? Because you've been in the game 20 years, have you had any major injuries? Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Nothing massive.
That's cool.
When I was 16, I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
So this was like
Been there,
3
brother.
years. Yeah. Like 2 years into parkour.
Okay.
And it was quite a bad break. Like, I've still got metal attached to the ankle now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in the UK, they don't take it off unless you ask them to. The rest of Europe,
They did.
because I asked them to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did offer to take it off. So when I got it put on, they told me, it's like, oh, in 6 months, we'll bring you back in and take it off.
Oh, okay.
And then about 3 years later, I got a phone call that was like, oh, you're still on this waiting list. Do you want this done?
Yeah.
And like, I was kind of fresh off quite a minor ankle sprain. So it's only like a couple of weeks out of the sport.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't want another few weeks out now. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
I'm fine with this in. It's not causing me any issues. So
Yeah. To be fair, getting mine out didn't really do anything. I was hoping because they'd also use the opportunity to clear out some scar tissue, which they did, but to improve my dorsiflexion, like how much I can bend my ankle, which is still a huge issue. I have loads of scar tissue in there, but it didn't really, because it's still impinging at the back of my joint. So realistically, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a huge change.
Yeah, I've had like loads of ankle sprains. I had a really bad ankle sprain in 2019 in the foam pit over there, and that set me up for like just constantly spraining my ankle like once a year for a few years.
And which sprains are often worse than breaks as well.
Yeah. But then I've got quite nice wide shoes now, so I've not rolled my ankle for a while.
That's good. Honestly, shoes make such a big difference. When I broke my ankle, like I went back and reviewed some footage, and I was walking with like a total slant because my foot was like out of the shoe. I don't know if that played a role or not, but it was like I shouldn't have been wearing those shoes.
Yeah.
Like, so that stuff definitely, like wearing the right shoes is like really important.
On a similar note, yeah, I've had to kind of invest and look into what shoes I can wear just because of my feet are slightly misshapen now. I have these like lumps at the back.
Yeah.
And where the, like, I don't know, the bone spurs have formed or whatever from all the like surgery and stuff. But so now I was wearing Olos at the time, and I cannot wear those now, like tied to shoes.
Yeah.
Thankfully, these stripe movements have been awesome. They've been really, really good.
They're a very supportive shoe because they also have a bit of that arch support for lifting, because they're kind of a cross training shoe.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, so I'm so happy that there is some slightly wider toe boxed parkour shoes. So I've had these for a while now. They're really good, actually. Yeah, really recommend. If people have any like foot issues, then I would say strikes are a good thing to look into.
They keep you safe for sure. So you two are both obviously been in the game a long time, but you're both extremely experienced coaches. So we'll see if we can get some coaching top tips off you. I guess, how did you guys both find yourself coaching the sport? Because you both coach here.
I don't coach.
You don't coach? Okay. Did you ever coach?
I've coached little bits here and there back in Lincoln.
Okay.
Like sort of after school clubs that were going on.
But Adam does you do a lot of mentoring here.
Yeah,
it's definitely adjacent to
100%. You definitely have the status of someone with that kind of role in the community.
Yeah. Either Leighton or Logan, like one of the Zeal kids, did say I was one of the best coaches, which feels like a bit of an insult to the people who are at. Yeah.
But there are two types of things. There's coaching, right? And there's like managing a class and that, but there's also like, helping someone through a challenge, like a friend or at a training session, you know, and I coached a bit back in the day for a couple of years, but I do a lot of that as well. And I think it's nice to pride yourself on your ability to do that and to help someone with technique points, whatever, motivate them through a challenge. But yeah, so Sam used to run, a podcast called the Parkour Coaching Companion, correct? Yeah. So I guess I'll ask you, so when did you get into coaching and how have you developed this like really strong sort of passion for it?
Yeah, thanks. So I started coaching parkour at uni. So I set up like an unofficial parkour society.
Oh, sick.
And there's a few students who were interested. I think there was a guy that did like breakdancing. There's guys into calisthenics. A very small group, but I kind of set this up unofficially.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't really understand things about insurance and how all that could work, and like actually setting up an official society, which now, thankfully, like they do exist. It's really cool. Even we had UCL literally yesterday. The whole group of them came here.
Sick.
And they were talking about Yard actually, which is really nice.
Mate, oh, I love, recently Yard has improved so much. This is the DIY parkour spot made by Super XXL in London, and it's incredible. It's better than most parkour gyms. Not this one, but it is better than a lot of parkour gyms.
I'm keen to visit. But yeah, I started off teaching them, and I wasn't even that super experienced at that point. I was like 19, so I'm only like 4 or 5 years in, but I just wanted to share a few things that I understood in parkour, and thankfully I actually found a local group in Stoke-on-Trent. There's like this YMCA building, like a big gym hall, and they ran parkour sessions, which was kind of with people like Brendan Littler, Steve Leake, and the Stoke boys, Jake Wheeldon. They were all there like in that area, and I went there to go and train, and they said they needed coaches, so I started coaching for them and like did very like part-time work with them. And then they actually helped me. They were really kind. They helped sponsor me to get my parkour qualification. So at the time was Adapt/Parkour UK. So I got my level 1, and then eventually I got my level 2 as well. And they actually helped fund me and helped get me down to London, because at the time London was a long way away, like and everything, even like mentally, like growing up in the north and stuff, and like going off to bigger places and getting these things.
I mean, it was difficult and expensive, and it still is to a degree. But yeah, a big part of it's not my role specifically, but a big part of what we're working on in Parkour UK is rehauling and making it a lot easier to do the less expensive, less days required on site. A lot of it can be done online. Less hours required with like assisting someone for free, that kind of stuff, because it was very difficult to get the qualification. So it's awesome they helped you through it, because that's the only way realistically like a young coach is going to be able to do it.
So I was always really thankful for that community for helping me out. And then from there, when I finished uni, I moved back to York, where it's kind of like my city, like hometown city, and thankfully from one lucky phone call managed to get a job with a gymnastics company. So through them, they wanted to bring in more boys into their club, so they wanted to put on parkour classes as well as gymnastics.
Great.
So then I taught parkour, and they actually helped me with some gymnastics qualifications as well. So I did that through them, and then I moved to a Ninja Warrior place in York called Agility, and then in that one I had a bit more of my own space, like a studio where I could teach, and I had like the continental blocks.
Yeah, nice.
With all the like modular stuff. So I taught there, and then thankfully after Rachel Goff had left here, Nova needed a new coach here, and I talked to Liam and Lisa, and they were interested in me coaching here. So I've been working here like 2.5 years now.
Because you're the head coach now.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
So at the moment it's me, Liam, and Noah who are the main coaches here. But like people like Adam and people who are regulars, there is definitely this mentorship atmosphere, which is kind of just slightly above for the ones that are really pushing it, like the Zeal boys. I mean, shout out to them, they're doing incredible stuff. And people like Adam are around, people like Zach and they're around to help and mentor. And that's really important for people who have found autonomy in their own training, because they could come to my classes, but they're not going to get the same amount if they can train in their own time.
But I was talking when I had the podcast with Liam as well, like the amount of value that having someone that knows your level and like knows you super well and can give you like a really objective assessment of like what they think the risks are and how like ready you are for a challenge when you're emotionally invested, but they don't have that same emotion clouding their judgment is amazing, right? It's like, look, I think you're gonna be able to do this, and like this and this could go wrong, but you can mitigate it like this, and then realistically this is like the one risk, but I think it's quite low for you if you can execute it like, you know, confidently. And having that, and that is kind of the role that you guys are providing in this setting is amazing. So it's really awesome to have that around a community, having people that you're close to that know your ability to help you push like safely. Yeah.
And the way me and Liam have discussed this at Nova is like, it's the pathway of parkour. So you can bring, you know, you want to bring children into the enjoyment of movement. We have like classes down to like age 2. Bring them into the enjoyment of movement and playing with obstacles and obstacle courses.
Yeah.
And then you're starting to introduce the ideas of parkour and like being able to look into a space in a different way, the movements of parkour, the techniques. And then once they're a little bit older, or if they're really into it, once they've got their own independence, then it's about mentorship and like getting them outside, getting them to events, getting them to competitions, getting them to the streets, that sort of thing. And we see it as like this pathway to help kids like guide them through. So eventually it becomes like, I don't have to message Leighton like, oh, when's the next time you'll come in training? Like he's gonna be here.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Because he's already in it. Like,
yeah, and he's got that passion for it, and that also cultivates that passion. I guess we're quite unique in the sense, not entirely unique, but as a sport, in the sense that it's totally like a normal, natural thing for kids to do parkour anyway. And so you transition, like you just described, from the normal childlike play that most children engage in into like a sport, right? And if you have that funnel to like bring them in a way of doing stuff they're already doing, and then make it a bit more challenge focused, and then maybe if you can nurture that passion, which, you know, Nova City, you guys have managed to do for so many people, then you can create these like incredible athletes, you know, created through enjoyment, not through some pressure cooker of like turning up and just like, right, twice a week, discipline, we're training hard, which is how a lot of sports are run. And, you know, you get a lot out of that, but yeah, it's a really fun way to do it. And it often appeals to inactive people or people that wouldn't fit in conventional sports, team sports, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think the sheer like scope of parkour, how broad it is, that fuels itself into wanting to keep coming back again and again and again. And it's like why we've been doing it. Well, you've been 20 years. I'm not far off that. There's still things we're learning that like now because of how broad it is. And that's like that fuels itself for the kids that are in it and in the practice. You don't have to, the discipline can come from themselves and can come from their interest and curiosity in what they want to do.
It's a lifelong practice.
Yeah.
So like you might have your athletic peak, right? If you have like a lifetime of parkour where you've done like the most sort of athletically difficult, impressive things, but you'll learn forever. Like I plan like, I don't know, in my mid 30s, after I stop trying to push the limit of how far I can do like 3 really my like niche movements, to like get on the lashes and and really like there's a whole breadth of knowledge you can gain across the course of your life. So you don't necessarily have this like peak of your last Olympics as an athlete or whatever, and then there's like the post Olympics depression, you drop off. It's like, it is a lifelong practice, you know, and it's good to kind of frame it that way from the beginning.
I think it's because it's quite artistic and you've got that freedom of like to be creative and to be expressive of just what you are interested in. It doesn't feel like you're doing exercise or you're doing a sport.
It's not limited by athletic ability.
Yeah. For most sports, it's like it is a sport, it's an exercise, whereas parkour, when I go out training, I don't think of it as being like I'm going out to exercise or I'm going out to practice a sport. I'm just going to do parkour.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also part of that is that even if your focus is winning competitions, it's not inherently competitive. Like most sports are inherently like point scoring, let's say, right? And so there are like quite a lot of sports that are in this bubble with parkour, but yeah, it's because it's self-driven, and that just definitely helps like draw away from that mentality. Like I'm going to win to compete. No, I'm just going to like train and come what may, right?
And so just to go on that point, like I think that as you said, it's like it can be a lifelong practice. And I think even the early practitioners viewed it as that, as like a, you know, parkour for life, like is forever, longevity and all that. But enjoyment itself is such a good predictor of like longevity in the sport, because you will keep finding things that you are fun and that interest you. And that's why we'll just always always preach about like how beneficial it can be and how long lasting as an exercise practice it can be. Like, you don't have, because it's so broad.
Yeah. And you will, even like after you've sort of passed your athletic peak and the point of like, oh, I can't jump as far as I used to, you're still going to be able to go out and find things that are challenging to your ability at that point, and you'll still get that same satisfaction. Well, hopefully most people will get that same satisfaction of completing a challenge that was a challenge for them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a challenge for you. And it doesn't need to be like, oh, I can jump 2 foot less now, I'm just going to do jump 2 foot less. You could do that, but you can also explore a whole area of movement you never explored even during your athletic peak and go in a lot of ways. Like, not to say that people don't suffer with that. Like, I had Jay Clark on the podcast a while ago, and I know he comes back to training sometimes, but he's got a lot of adult life to deal with, and he's still very good, but he's very frustrated because he doesn't have the time and energy to put in to be the level he was, you know, and I'm sure I'll deal with that frustration as well at some point, but it doesn't mean like you can't find challenge, get that sense of achievement and still like learn and progress for sure.
I would love to see a lasso video from you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe one day. Yeah. That would be sick.
Or Verky or someone.
Yeah. For sure. No, it's a great point. My plan is 35 onwards, I think, sort of. We're going to hit the lashes. Yeah, for sure. It's funny. Yeah, no, I mean, I hit them now, and then whenever I go to Hal 5 in Belgium, I always have a lache session, you know.
Right there,
yeah. I have improved a bit. Actually, in Oslo Movement Gathering, I did like my biggest lache, and it was cool. But yeah, that would be sick. Then it's challenge. Like, you got an artistic project, you just go for it. And there's still like so much scope to be quite athletically good at it then as well.
Yeah.
And I do lifting like weighted pull-ups, weighted dips year on year, and I get stronger every year as well. So the strength will still be there, right? In that regard. That's sick. I'll do that, man. That's a sick idea. I wanted to ask how this coaching convention came together that you hosted here. You've hosted multiple of them?
So we've run 2.
Yeah.
So we had one just in November, just gone, and then the November before that.
Sure.
So there's been 2 so far. And yeah, essentially it's something that I talked about on the Coach Companion podcast for a long time as well. It's just the reason I even set it up was just because from my point of view, it seemed like there was coaches around in different pockets around the UK, around the world, but I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how we're teaching the sport.
And then one existed in Denmark, didn't it? Something along this line already existed somewhere, I think.
I mean,
I think International Gathering.
International Gathering is like the closest thing.
Yeah.
Right.
There's also, I'm forgetting the name of it now.
Whereabouts?
It happened in Hell 5 last year.
Coach Europe.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
Coach Europe, right.
Yeah, I think that's a bit more recent, I think.
Yeah.
That is recent,
I don't know, actually. But...
So at the time, I think, they had this international gathering, which is a bit of a knowledge sharing thing for coaches as far as I'm aware. But beyond that, they didn't have anything really in this space. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if we're serious about the future of this thing continuing, I think that we have to look at skill sharing, knowledge sharing, coaching.
Yeah.
And so for me, I set up the podcast to talk to other coaches about how we're teaching this sport, what things we're talking about, how we're structuring classes, how we're navigating different children's needs, how we're navigating different techniques.
On that, are there any like key top points that you can distill from all that time running those podcasts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a few things, but I'd say something that's helped me, and especially in a massive place like this, is that the environment can really work for you in a class. Like, you don't have to be technique driven with your classes. You don't have to have lines in your classes of like 10 kids, all one at a time doing step vaults. It does not have to be like that. If you have enough room, thankfully, that we have here, like, you can question the children to explore for themselves. How many step vaults can you find in this space? So you can actually get a lot more. I think a lot more of you can increase the richness of a session because they're moving a lot more. If they're always lining up, and that's why you have a lot of problems with behavior, because they're like, oh, it's my turn. It's like they're
Far less restrictiveness, right?
Yeah. So if you expand the class a little bit and offer them to explore, they're going to be moving loads. They're going to be moving a lot more. They've only got an hour usually. So how much can you, something that I kind of inspired by, oh my God, Brendan Riley from like the Midlands, is he always like really tried to put a lot into the hour because that's all they've got.
Yeah.
And so how much can they move in that hour? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to pull them up on like, oh, you got that hand placement wrong. You don't have to pull them up straight away. Like you don't have to critique straight away. Like let them move, let them understand. And you can use constraints like to help them. You can teach techniques without even calling them techniques. You know, you can help someone do, like a cat pass by how you arrange the equipment. It doesn't have to be about how you tell them how to do that technique, if that makes sense.
You can almost manipulate them into doing it by setting up the class in that way. Yeah. And then, I like that from a not restricting perspective as well. I mean, we touched on it briefly with when I had Liam on the podcast yesterday, and in like kids want to sort of wander off and climb up high and explore and move around the space. And if you encourage that, you know, in a way that's safe and they're not like behind a wall and can't see them, then like I feel like you do get a lot more out of it, right?
Yeah, and it stops them acting up as well.
Yeah, because you give them the agency to do that, right?
Most kids will naturally come in and have an interest in something or have an energy about something within the space. And I think the skill is navigating that and allowing them to do that. So obviously having like, I think some structure or themes to the classes can be helpful just to have some focus. Because if you have a free for all, that's when things can. I think you're not capitalizing on the time in the same way. But
I think it's harder to do what you're suggesting. Makes a far better class, but it is a challenge in terms of like letting people experiment and navigate and still managing the class. You can
come in and out.
That's the skill, right?
Yeah, so you can kind of like expand and then constrict. And, you know, you can give them space, and then if one kid's doing something really interesting, you can pull into that kid and be like, hey guys, let's come and see this. Yeah, let's all try this challenge now, and then expand again. Can we find that similar thing somewhere else? So I think it's a lot. I guess it's a lot to say, but. No, it's hard to understand, I guess, just from talking. But like, there's still so much room for coaches to explore how we teach parkour. It doesn't have to be just one way. And like, I think the conventions have been really helpful for allowing time to actually discuss these things, because we don't always have time to talk when we're training.
Yeah, it's a great point.
People don't want to talk when they're training very often.
Yeah. And then, you know, like you might show up and you do your classes, and like how often do all the coaches at a gym sit around and think, how can we make the classes better? Maybe some do, but like, 100% dedicating that time. So you felt like it was like really beneficial for all the coaches there?
Yeah, definitely. The first year went way better than I thought. And like, I was really pleased at how many people came. I think we had like about 25, 30 for both years actually. And the second one, I tried to branch out a little bit more with, I wanted to get some girls talking, so we had Georgia and Tanmaya. They came down, they did some presentations, and also we did some spotting as the Bedford boys, the Spiral freerun guys. They did some like spotting workshops.
Oh, cool!
Really helpful. Like I know some people within the scene also are doing some spotting type qualifications and stuff like that for parkour, which I think is really important. That's cool. Especially as, again, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it seems like more people are interested in learning flips these days anyway. So it's like, how can we help them?
Yeah, and not restrict them, because, I mean, years ago it was like, that's not parkour, you know? Oh, it's like, let's let them do what they want to do, right?
Yeah, they're interested. And so, like, if we're coaches, like, can we facilitate that in a really, in a good way? But yeah, no, I've been really happy with them, and hopefully it's going to inspire other people to do similar events, or just like try and build a coaching network, so that I can give you ideas, or we can inspire each other and see what works. Because this, again, the downside of like the breadth of parkour is that it can be hard to know how to teach it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like,
absolutely,
it's not as simple as gymnastics where you've got 4 pieces of apparatus. They know what they're teaching, and it's probably the same week in, week out. Whereas for us, it's like, damn, like how are we gonna?
Well, every coach will teach a class differently, the same class differently in a different environment as well, right? So yeah, 100%. No, that's awesome. Do you hope to do another one this year?
Yes, we've got some plans. In fact, that could be closer to your scene and you guys than you think. So
okay,
things in the works.
Sick. Oh mate, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Another like amazing community initiative that's happened, and we've talked about on loads of pods, is the takeover competition format, which I believe was your brainchild, Adam. So I wanted to talk about the origins and Liam, obviously, who we,
Wait a minute. I'm here.
who we touched on, you know, and we touched it's when we got Liam behind the camera and had him on the pod yesterday, and we touched on it there, but yeah, we agreed it was best to talk about when you were here as well. So how did that come about? You know, what's some highlights, and then what are the plans with the takeovers? Well, what is a takeover first for anyone who doesn't know?
So takeover is a skill competition that takes place across like a wide area. So usually just one city. Theoretically, you could go bigger though. I know like Yard are doing like a month-long takeover.
Yeah, so it's funny because it's smaller because it's just at Yard, but for the whole month of March, 300 challenges is going to be in Yard. Yeah.
Which is such a sick like progression of the takeover format. But yeah, it's just skill comp takes place over a whole city. So we just release like a map with pins and photos and descriptions of all the challenges, and then it's just go out, do as many as you can, and then submit like a video of you complete the challenge.
And Dore famously have done a couple of them in the Dore vs Bristol videos as well.
Yeah,
those are also takeovers.
Yeah, like that is it's takeover.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but it's something like that car.
Yeah, that car is sort of like, I don't know if the mic can pick it up, but yeah. So yeah, how did you
Check it out.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
We'll get the AI to take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, how did you sort of get started with it?
So it kind of goes back to Sam actually, because I don't even know what year it would have been. You ran the outdoor skill comp in York.
Yeah.
And that prompted, he did it in like November. It's a terrible time of year to do it. But it was actually like kind of really good because it was really wet day, the kind of day where normally everyone would go, I'm not training. But because it was a competition on it, there was like a reason for everyone to get together in York. Everyone still showed up and still took part and had a good time. And that prompted like a few sort of northern communities to put on their own skill comp. So there was one in Sheffield, I did one in Lincoln, there was one in Hull, one in Leeds, and then they just sort of dropped off and disappeared for a bit.
There was a couple of years of like Takeover League, wasn't there? Where like you guys kind of joined up. And...
This is Takeover.
This is pre-Takeover.
Pre-Takeover League. Okay.
I think it was all like pre-COVID basically, and then after COVID, we were just driving home from Nova one day, and Liam said, "I want to do a skill comp outside, but across the whole city, not just at one spot."
It's a good city to do it because it is like you can walk between places as well.
Yeah, and Sheffield's very spot dense as well.
Yeah, nice.
And then Liam suggested this idea of like a citywide skill comp. I was unemployed at the time, so I was like, "Yeah, I've got all the free time. I'll get stuck in and get in with this as well." And then we just kind of brainstormed how it would work together, like the idea of using Google Maps to put the pins on the map. With the phone.
Yeah, sick.
And then using Instagram as the way to submit it, since you can't have the judges there in person at every single spot and every single challenge.
Yeah. No, I thought that worked, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like with the Instagram thing, like that's a really good marketing tool as well, because every athlete in the world is connected to at least one athlete who's competing.
It's a good point. You get like 30 man competing, and all their stories are now flooded with these challenges. Like that is it's well smart. Yeah, true.
And then it just I think you ran the first one in York a few months after we did the Sheffield one.
Yeah.
And it just kind of took off from there.
I absolutely love the Sheffield one. It was like a rat race. It was just crazy. It was like 2 days, like driving around, getting out, jumping out, trying to do a challenge. And it was just, I think it was that kind of treasure hunt vibe to me. I was like, it's so fun. And then it actually really inspired me, the Sheffield one, that in the sense that I'd not really seen much of Sheffield, and it showed me all of Sheffield. It showed me like all the spots in one weekend.
Yeah.
Which is kind of rare.
And with the motivation of a competition, like you just like, right, let's go, boom, boom, boom. You know, it just gives you that drive, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
So then, I was inspired from that one to do one in York, and then people were interested in this style of competition, and then slowly other cities joined, and then we did. It was 2024. It was the full league, wasn't it? Like the league year. And how many cities are in total? 8?
I think it was 8. Yeah.
Yeah,
8. That's amazing.
And it was just like to see to go around the city and see people around like different corners all training, trying challenges. It felt like definitely a very exciting new way of competing. So a lot of people enjoy skill-based competitions anyway. So keeping it on the streets in places that people already knew, or like it could inspire them to want to go back to that city, for example.
Yeah.
And that was probably like Europe's first real parkour competitive league as well. Like 8 different competitions throughout the year in one country. Now the States have a couple of versions of this in other competition formats, but I think that's the first time we brought a proper competition league to Europe.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard of any other ones that do that. So that's sick, you know. Obviously still relatively small scale, but it's really cool. And you did have, I think like you had at least kind of 20 people turning up to every one of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, numbers were always really good, and I think that with the league year, people felt they had to keep coming.
Well, they did,
because they needed to like stay up in the
which
runnings.
is great. You know, it's a great system to get them involved. Yeah. No, that's sick.
But I think it really was inspired by that first one that Leo and Adam did around Sheffield over 2 days, and it just kind of opened the scope up for like, oh wow, yeah, we could make a whole weekend competition where we're basically doing what we always do, but having challenges set for us is actually really helpful as well.
Yeah, and it's also the first endurance parkour competition, really, because it is an endurance challenge. You're going for a day, sometimes 2 days, sometimes a month now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a whole new thing, and there's a whole new skill set, and it brought out a new set of podium as well. And it was different people that were winning all the other comps that came in and were really strong at this, right? Yeah, man.
I think it improved everyone's game as well.
Yeah.
Especially the whole northern community, because of that pressure to try a lot of movements that you wouldn't always try.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
instead, everyone's level just got way, like really, really refined, and people now that are doing really well in comps, especially up here, like the level is so high. Like
that's an interesting way to frame it, that it like brought up everyone's skill, because 100% it would, like everyone's.
No, like, I think it did.
I believe that.
Yeah, like you not only you get better because you're trying stuff you've never tried before, and you have to learn a technique for it.
Yeah.
But also sometimes you just go like, okay, I've got to do this challenge.
Well, it gives you the drive to do something you might walk away from.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And like you end up surprising yourself and be like, oh, I didn't think I could do that comp 3. A point was on the line.
Point was on the line. I think I would be like that. I would push me to like do stuff I wouldn't normally do, just for that competitive side, which is great. And then you sort of get a bit more of a well-rounded skill set. I guess like future plans of takeovers. We doing another league? What are we saying?
Yeah, not really sure. The plan was to have one last year, after the success of like the first year of it. But we were trying to get insurance sorted because it would have been the first time that none of the actual organisers of the league would be running their own events. Would be passing on to the London community. I think Edinburgh was going to be one as well. I can't remember all the cities right now, but it's going to be separate organisers. So we wanted it to be fully insured. But we couldn't get insurance sorted, so it ended up not happening. But I think we all want to do some sort of league going forward, but what form that's going to look like, I'm not sure really.
Sweet. Well, I mean, I look forward to it. Like, really looking forward to seeing what people do for this one in London. Like, I was training at Yard the other day and I did a challenge and like, right, that's going on the list. 300 challenges. That's a lot of challenges.
Wait, hang on, 300 in Yard?
300 in Yard.
Oh, nice.
Yes, in Yard. They're building again today. They were building like a replica of the IMAX Compris there. So, March 28th, the London Massive. That's a big full day event if you can get to Yard. Wow. Calm down. So that it culminates in that event,
cool.
which they're running to try and put on for London. But yeah, I mean, thanks so much for coming in, guys. Like, for coming in, I came in, but thanks so much for jumping on the pod, and it was cool to do this collab with you guys. I look forward to the future of what you guys do. I hope you'll sort of get back to being able to push with your parkour and the injury, and I guess feel free to plug anything you want, and parkour.uk is the link for news where to start parkour, events in the community, all that good stuff is on that fantastic URL. Is there anything you guys want to push?
Yeah, I guess we've got to talk about Project, which is coming up very soon.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know when this will come out. Maybe it will be afterwards, but we'll see. But so March 13th to 15th, we've got Project Underground 13.
Yes.
Liam's been running these now for 13 years, which is insane.
I'll need to try and get the podcast.
Sorry, my bad.
I'll need to try and get the podcast with you out before that, maybe. I'll see. But yeah. Well, yeah.
But that's going to be, here again and still going strong, getting those people together. We're trying to push a lot of our students to start trying their first competitions this year.
Yeah,
so it's exciting, and I'm sure craziness will happen. We've got a whole new setup that Liam and Adam have spent a long time moving things around, and
I look forward to it, man. I can't make it this year, but I'm going to be on that live stream for sure, so it'll be sick. Yeah.
I guess the only thing is that I'm working on my own project, kind of like a bit of a comeback project as well. So that'll be out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will you drop that on this channel, Nova City, or are you going to drop it on your own?
No, it'll be more of a personal one for me.
Nice.
But, it could be.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that'll be out towards the end of the year.
Okay,
so
nice.
Quite a lot. So.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I look forward to that. I always planned to do one for mine and then never did. But it's like,
it's difficult, man.
Yeah. I filmed all like the injury stuff, going through it. But then, yeah, I didn't like get past that point of like filming it into the movement stuff. So,
yeah. I feel like it used to be quite a commonplace thing where people would get even quite minor injuries that make some sort of like comeback video off the back.
It's almost like you have to. It's sort of like
it's a rite of passage.
My point when I considered myself back wasn't actually even parkour related, like it was, but I considered myself like fully back from injury when I hit my squat PB again that it was before.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Because my legs went to like full pencil thin. So when I hit the squat PB again, and I was back training after say 8 months, I didn't hit the squat PB for about 2 years. And now I've surpassed it.
Nice.
Yeah, then I was like, oh, I'm back, because my parkour training is so intertwined with how strong I am, because that really like limits my ability. So yeah, that was a good feeling for sure. Yeah.
Because also when it happened, you're not thinking you're going to go back to, those sort of PBs.
And then you're in bed for months and you watch like you all the muscle disappear off your legs. It's crazy. But it does come back. Your body remembers the blueprint. It's easier than it was the first time to build the strength. Thankfully, the 5 years of lifting initially, I got back to a good level, and obviously like not nearly as long, but yeah.
Nice one, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Beautiful. Cheers.